In January of 647 AD, a star fell from the sky over the Silla kingdom. To a modern observer, it was a meteor, unremarkable physics. To the court of Silla in the 7th century, it was a message from heaven, and the men who saw it already had their interpretation ready. A general named Bidam stood before his troops and declared that the falling star proved what his faction had always believed. Heaven itself opposed a woman on the throne. The queen must be removed. The queen who received this news was 63 years old. She had ruled Silla for 15 years. She had built structures that still stand. She had forged alliances that would reshape East Asia. She died 9 days later. Not because of Bidam, but because her time had simply come. Her forces crushed his rebellion in the weeks after her death. The Silla kingdom in the 7th century was not Joseon. It was older, stranger, and in some ways more flexible. A state whose aristocracy traced itself back centuries through a combination of bloodline and a system called the bone ranks, which determined who could hold which positions. At the top of the bone rank system sat the sacred bone lineage, those of the purest royal blood. And for 15 years, Silla's king, Jinpyong, watched as his sacred bone lineage produced daughters and no sons. When he died in 632, his eldest daughter was approximately 22 years old. The sacred bone rank passed to her automatically. There was simply no one else. She became Queen Seondeok, the 27th ruler of Silla, and the first woman to hold that title in Korean history. The most visible thing Queen Seondeok built still stands in Gyeongju today, Cheomseongdae. The tower for gazing at the stars is a cylindrical structure of carefully fitted granite blocks, roughly 9 meters tall, constructed sometime during her reign. It is the oldest surviving astronomical observatory in East Asia. Scholars and astronomers used it to track celestial events, predict seasons, monitor the heavens for signs that would inform decisions of state. It was not decorative. In a kingdom whose politics ran on the interpretation of omens and celestial signs, the same omens that would one day be used against her. Controlling the observation and interpretation of the sky was a form of power. She also commissioned temples. She sent Buddhist monks to Tang China to study. She was a significant patron of Silla's Buddhist culture in ways that extended the kingdom's cultural connections far beyond its borders. She was building a kingdom, piece by piece, in the way she believed it needed to be built. Silla in 632 was not the dominant power on the Korean peninsula. 3 kingdoms competed: Silla in the southeast, Baekje in the west, and southwest, Goguryeo in the north. Goguryeo was the largest and most powerful. It had famously repelled 3 Chinese invasions under the Sui dynasty. Baekje had a long alliance with Japan. Silla was the smallest and most isolated. Seondeok's diplomatic solution was the Tang dynasty of China. She sent missions to the Tang court. She cultivated the relationship carefully. The Tang had their own reasons to be interested. A reliable ally in the Korean peninsula was useful for their ongoing conflicts with Goguryeo and for regional influence. The formal military alliance that would eventually allow Silla to defeat Baekje and Goguryeo was not signed until after Seondeok's death, but she initiated the relationship, maintained it through 15 years of reign. and built the trust that made it possible. The unification of the Korean peninsula, achieved by 668, began in the diplomatic work she did at her court in Gyeongju. Not everyone accepted her. The resistance to female rule in 7th century Silla was not simply misogyny. It was embedded in the cosmic worldview of the time. Heaven was ordered by principles of yang and yin. Kings represented yang. A woman on the throne was, to this worldview, a structural disruption of the natural order, not merely a social convention broken. This meant that any misfortune during her reign, military setback, natural disaster, poor harvest, could be attributed to the fundamental wrongness of her authority. She governed under a permanent ideological vulnerability that male kings did not face. She managed it through competence, through patronage, through alliance building, and through the deliberate cultivation of Buddhist legitimacy. Using the monastery network and the temple system to reinforce the narrative that heaven supported her reign. It was not easy. It was constant. In January 647, Bidam, one of the highest-ranking officials in the Silla government, who had himself been elevated by Seondeok's patronage, launched his rebellion. The falling star was his rallying symbol. The target was the queen. The argument was celestial. Heaven had withdrawn its mandate from a female ruler. The rebellion attracted significant support from noble factions who had chafed under her authority for years. It was the largest internal crisis of her reign. Seondeok died on January 8th, 647. 9 days into the rebellion. The historical records do not give a cause of death beyond illness. She had been unwell for some time. Whether the stress of the rebellion accelerated her death, or whether the rebellion was triggered in part because her deteriorating health made her seem vulnerable, is not recorded. Her orders were followed after her death. Her generals, including Kim Yushin, the greatest military commander in Silla history, crushed Bidam's rebellion 9 days after she died. Bidam was executed. The throne passed to her cousin Seondeok, the second queen of Silla. The Korean peninsula was unified in 668, 21 years after Seondeok's death. It was unified by the alliance she built, using the diplomacy she initiated, carried out by generals she had promoted. Kim Yushin, whose military career she had advanced, led the campaigns that ended Baekje and Goguryeo. Tang Chinese forces, whose relationship Seondeok had cultivated, provided crucial support. She did not live to see it. She rarely gets credit for it. Cheomseongdae still stands in Gyeongju. Over 1,300 years after it was built, it remains structurally intact. No restoration, no reconstruction, just the original granite blocks fitted by 7th century hands. The oldest astronomical observatory in East Asia was built by a woman who was told that heaven opposed her rule. The stone disagreed. If this story stayed with you, subscribe to the Dragon Throne. Every week we open one of Asia's closed doors. The royal mysteries, the forgotten rulers, the betrayals and disappearances that history recorded once and then moved past. If you want to help us reach the next person who's never heard of Queen Seondeok, a like on this video does exactly that. We'll see you at the